Hey friends, it's Nikki. I actually didn't think that I was going to be filming a video like this, or at least not anytime soon, but today I'm going to be doing my very first haul. Like a haul, as in I bought these books. I've debated on whether or not I should try doing a library haul, but I check out a lot of books at a time because I request a lot of books at a time, and then when I go to pick up those books, I end up browsing and getting even more books, and so I usually check out between 7 to 10 books at a time. They're all up there though. Well, most of them are up there. But recently, and when I say recently I mean within the last, I want to say 2 weeks or so, I did buy some books, and it's going to be a pretty small haul, but I don't anticipate buying any more anytime soon that I know of. But hopefully doing this haul video will dissuade me from buying any more. The first book that I bought that actually kicked this whole thing off is Wildcard by Marie Lu. As you guys know, I usually get my books from the library, but the library did not put this in their catalog fast enough for me, and I was dying. My boyfriend kept trying to get me to hold off and wait for the library to get it in to buy it and buy the first book at the same time, but I just couldn't wait anymore. But I'm glad that I did this because not only do I have it now, and shamefully I'm not done with it despite all of my absolutely needing to read it. We can thank school for that. I went to Book Off recently and found book one! And now I am very happy. If you don't know what the series is about, I guess I'll just talk a bit about Warcross because talking about Wildcard would spoil things, says the person who hasn't finished it. But Warcross follows a girl named Amika Chen who is teaching herself to become a hacker, and she's a pretty brilliant one at that, and one day she accidentally glitches herself into the opening ceremony of Warcross. Warcross is the virtual reality game that has taken the entire world by storm, and so this has a lot of video game action in it, a lot of romance. It also takes place in Tokyo, which is pretty cool. We don't really get to see that as a setting as often. And when I read it, I absolutely loved it. I had really wanted to talk to somebody about the book and like what happens in it, and I have a lot of friends who I think would like it, but nobody had read it, and I'm really sad about it. My boyfriend said that he would read it so that we could talk about it together, but he just bought Gone Girl, so I don't think he's gonna be done with that for a while. But when I found this at Book Off, I knew that I had to get it, especially because it was half off, just about. I don't know if you can see the price, but it was $7.50, and I was like, hell yeah. So yes, Warcross was this week that I bought it, and Wildcard I actually bought almost at the end of September. Since we're already on the topic of Book Off, I might as well just show you the rest of the things that I got from there. If you're unfamiliar with the chain, it is a Japanese bookstore that we have a couple of in the US. Pretty sure most of them are in California, but there is a chain in New York and Manhattan, and I love that store so much. Generally, you can get the books for half price or lower. There are a ton of books for $1 in the store, and if you browse around, you'll find a lot of great gems, hence me finding Warcross there for half off. Generally, I like to shop for the manga because I feel like they have a pretty good variety. My favorite manga of all time is Absolute Boyfriend, and that's an older series, but I was really excited when I saw that they had it there at Book Off, and I ended up buying the entire series. Mind you, it's only like 6 volumes for like $20, I think. The manga section tends to also have a $3 section, so most of the manga you'll find generally around $5, sometimes around $8-ish if they're more popular, I guess. But they also have a $3 section, and that's where I found the entire series of Ultramaniac. My friend introduced this series to me when I was a sophomore in high school, and we tore through the entire thing. Luckily for us, it was only 5 volumes, so I guess it was pretty quick for us to be able to do that. It is also kind of an older series, if you can't tell, like by the art style, but it's very cute, very cute, and I had a great time reading this. And when I saw this, I was way too excited. I was having like a bout of nostalgia just like smack me in the face because I mean it's been years. It's been, wow, like 10 years since I read this last. That's incredible. God, I'm old. The series is about a girl who makes a new friend at school and finds out that she's actually a witch. Or at least she's training to become a witch. She gets into all of these awkward and embarrassing situations, but, you know, not embarrassing, more so embarrassing for our entertainment embarrassing. There's a lot of romance and overall cuteness in this series, and it just gives me like a really warm and sweet feeling whenever I think back on it, because I remember reading it and thinking, this is so pure. And I think we can always use a bit of purity in our lives. I found all of these in the $3 section, so I bought the entire series. Why not? And it came out to $15. I mean, I got a whole series for $15. pretty darn good to me. The next book that I got just came in this week, and I got it from Thrift Books, so there's even a little note inside from the previous owner, which I'm taking out right now. It's a book I actually already own, and that is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. If you don't already know, The Raven Boys is my favorite series, and I have been meaning to reread it. My sort of theme for November is going to be rereading books, especially ones that I really love or my favorite ones, but the idea of taking my copies of The Raven Cycle around, my beautiful hardcover signed copies of The Raven Cycle, terrifies me completely. Alongside the hardcover copies that I already own, I have one paperback version of The Dream Thieves. This was a book that my friend had lent to me, and my Snapple spilled inside my bag one day and ruined the copy, so obviously I bought her another copy, but I kept the ruined one for myself.
Shut up!
And it got me thinking that maybe I should just get the entire series all over again so that if I want to reread it, I won't have that fear of messing up my beautiful copies. I would also kind of like to try annotating maybe just a little bit, even if it's just underlining my favorite quotes or just highlighting some things that I really like, putting hearts next to Adam's name every time it shows up. All that stuff. I feel like I want to have a set that I won't be scared of ruining. That way I can also let other people borrow them and I won't be angry if they mess up the copies, because I mean they're already well worn. That's the reason that I have been trying to get them as cheap as I possibly can. So I found a copy of The Raven King on Amazon really cheap for like $5 or $6. Not really sure how that happened, but it did. And this one was about $4 or $5. This one already came a bit worn, if you can see that little crease there. Pages are bent back a bit, and that's great because it means when I reread this and I'm taking my little notes, I'm not gonna feel like I'm marking something pristine, you know what I mean? If you don't know what The Raven Boys is about by this point, I'm not going to try to explain it because there's just no way for me to. I feel like how you explain this book depends on who you're talking to. I know that might not make any sense, but the way that my friend explained it to me is exactly what I needed to hear in order to pick up the series, which I wouldn't have otherwise. And the way that I would explain it to, I don't know, customers in a store is going to be a little different than that depending on what I see they have in their baskets and what they tell me. Because this really just, I don't know how to explain, there's so much happening. You can look it up on Goodreads if you want, but I'm just gonna throw some key phrases at you. A family of women psychics, a dead Welsh king, a beautiful group of friends who have the greatest friendship I have ever seen, some very low-key magic going on. You might disagree and say that it's not exactly low-key, but I felt that it was because I'm not really a fantasy person and it was just the right amount to keep me engaged without making me feel like I don't want to read it anymore. Yeah. My brain is getting all muddied up, so the point is, I got The Raven Boys. I am so excited to reread this series. All I need is Blue Lily Lily Blue, but we'll find that eventually. Hopefully for like $5 if I can manage that. And the last book that I got. This one's kind of a controversial read, or a controversial author, I should say. A couple weeks ago, I hit 300 subscribers, and a couple of people tweeted me that I should get myself a book to congratulate myself for the 300. My boyfriend in particular was just like, oh my god, we have to get you a book. This is great. So I decided to pick up something that I've been actually pretty curious about, not just because the author gets a lot of buzz, whether it be positive or negative. She just seems to get a lot of people talking, but also because, I don't know, something's been drawing me to this book recently, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Wow. Can't believe I'm holding this in my hands right now. Or that I own it, I should say. You know how I said before that how you describe a book to somebody changes on who you're describing it to? When I worked at Barnes & Noble and this book came out and we had to shelve it and put it in the new teen fantasy section, I was immediately not going to read it, right? Because fantasy, I'm not really a fan. One of my coworkers was really into Sarah J. Maas, really loved the Throne of Glass series, but she's a fantasy reader, and so that's why I thought that I wasn't going to like it, and she was just like, oh, it's amazing, you should try it, but I'm also speaking from like a standpoint of somebody who really enjoys this genre. And then she saw this one, she decided, I don't remember if she actually read it, I should text her and ask, hey Becky, if you're watching this right now, did you ever read this? You should like text me and let me know if I haven't texted you already. Eventually somebody told me that it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which got me intrigued. Normally I don't really like to read retellings. As soon as you tell me that, I'm like, I'm not gonna read it. But as somebody who wasn't interested in the first place because of the genre, being given something that I'm a bit more familiar with intrigued me. And then the soap thing happened. I'm not gonna get into the soap thing, But what I am going to say is that's one of the first times that I really realized that the series is actually a new adult series marketed as YA. And I was like, oh, this is totally out there for me. I'm going to take a chance, and yeah, I got A Court of Thorns and Roses. Wow.
Wow.
I'm honestly really excited to read this, you guys. I'm hoping to pick this up in November. November, I don't know if this makes any sense to anybody else but me, but November is red. It's just the color red in my mind. I feel like November and part of December is the perfect time to be reading kind of dark fantasies. I know that sounds weird coming from somebody who doesn't really read fantasy, but I don't know. Who am I now? Who knows? That's it for this tiny little haul. I am really excited to get to all of these, especially sitting down with that whole manga and just, Let me know if you've read any of these or are planning on reading any of these and what you thought of them, if I can scream at you in your DMs about them, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!